Hello, welcome back, and as always, thank you for watching. Today I'm going to be wrapping up my shelves project. Finally. The pacing of this project has been slow, about 2.5 months I think, but that's okay. It has allowed me to enjoy each process and not get burnt out by any one thing, which happens to me with some of my projects. I do really well at the beginning, but once I get to the end I am done and either never quite finish or finish it and it doesn't quite turn out the way I had hoped. I am happy to report that this project turned out exactly as I had planned. I lost quite a bit of footage of me working on the shelves. I have no idea how, but that is okay. It will force me to make a shorter video, and I hope. You have been watching me sand the shelves. I started at 80 grit and moved my way up to 320. I also ran the shelves through the planer again, mostly before I sanded it. This was to get them at a consistent level.
All right, that is just pretty much 3 passes where it actually cut, and it looks so nice. So now I've got a lot of sanding to do, especially because with the epoxy, you got to sand the epoxy to kind of get it to, especially with the epoxy, you got to sand the epoxy to get it to shine and do, look like it kind of supposed to look. But yeah, that is cool. I was glad I didn't have to do too many passes. Again, that was about 3 that cut pretty well.
The epoxy was rough and would have taken forever to sand. The planer made quick work of it. I did do some research and the website said you could run epoxy through a planer. I don't know if you should, but it did work and it worked well. Now I had a consistent surface to really get sanding on. Lots and lots of sanding. It was worth it though. They got to be really smooth and look really good. I don't have any footage of me using a coworker's miter saw to cut the edges even and square, but I did do that. Then I used the table saw to cut them even and square along the length. I then marked out where the studs were on the wall, at least where the stud finder told me they were. You will see what happened later in the video. I then held the shelves up and marked where the studs would land on them so I could drill the hole and router out the spot for the brackets to sit. I used a router jig I got at Lowe's to be able to put the groove in. I was able to do it in 2 passes per groove. I would do 1 pass, flip the router, and do another pass, and it worked perfect. I tell you what, the router is my new favorite tool. You can do so much with it, and it is fairly easy to use. I'm going to need to find more projects to use it on, for sure.
Not too shabby. Should have gone back the other way. That's about as good as I could have possibly hoped for, honestly. So that fits in there pretty darn well. So I'll just make sure I mark the hole. But yeah, that worked out pretty good. Awesome.
After getting the grooves cut in for the bracket, I needed to get the holes drilled. They needed to be 8 inches deep, so I was able to find a drill bit that was long enough and a place with a drill press big enough to handle the shelf and the really long drill bit. It was another co-worker's house. Thank you, Heidi and Newell. I hope we can work together on another project in the future. This was kind of a process because his drill press had only a 3.5 inch throw, so we had to drill down that far, move up the press bed, drill that far again, and then one more time to get the last couple inches. It worked out pretty well. After the holes were drilled, I had a little more sanding to do to get all the little scratches out. Then it was time to clean them off and put the finish on.
Alright, so I'm trying Tung Oil finish. We'll see how that goes. I was looking at Lowe's and this was what I thought might be the easiest and best. So we wipe it on and then it says you wait 5 to 10 minutes and then you buff it off. So here we go. Today we are hopefully going to be finishing up the shelves, getting them mounted, getting the brackets mounted on the wall, getting the shelves mounted on the brackets, and wrap this sucker up. Unfortunately, the brackets I got for the shelves, they are a little bit too big. I measured them out as 7/16 and they're, of course, just a little bit oversized from that. So I think what my plan is I'm gonna kind of grind the top off a little bit, make it a little bit narrower.
Then, all there was left to do was hang the brackets on the wall and hang the shelves. I knew / had a feeling this was not going to go super smooth, and it didn't. I'm glad I was prepared. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it wasn't perfect either. Remember when I said I found the studs so I knew where to put the brackets? Well, for some reason, the first bracket I put up in the top left, the stud did not go up that high. Yes, you heard me. The stud was not there. The stud was there on the lower one, but not up that high. Luckily, there was a stud on the right bracket for the shelf, so there is some good strength at least on one of the two.
Here's the first one. Amazingly, it is pretty much perfectly level. Wow.
Holy moly.
Amazingly, the shelf was level from side to side. All my measuring and leveling paid off. It wasn't level front to back, so I just placed a shim behind it, and that worked well to bring it up to level. My wife and I repeated this process for the other brackets, and it went relatively smoothly from there. Only a few minor hiccups.
The grooves I made just aren't quite deep enough. I had to put in screws at a couple angles, and they stick out a little bit far. So I'm gonna just router them out a little bit deeper. And they should sit flat against the wall, flush against the wall.
I was then able to pound the shelves into place, and we are very pleased. We then hung the tree in the middle. It was a metal tree we found at TJ Maxx and planned the whole project around. I am pretty proud of myself. I think this whole project turned out pretty awesome and just how I had hoped. If you are a project person, you know that doesn't always happen. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments. I will do my best to answer.
right. That is a culmination of 2.5 months of work. That's pretty cool.
If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button as well. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have a good one.